The Last of Us 2 is getting a customized PS4 Pro system that should, well, rile up a lot of people. And finally, we have a big update on the No Nintendo Directs coming anytime soon story that we talked about the other day on the channel. And I'm here to tell you guys why no Nintendo Directs are not a problem. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So one of the more polarizing topics of 2020 when it comes to the world of video games has of course been The Last of Us 2. And really, just leading up to the release of The Last of Us 2, it's been a very strange life cycle for this game. Obviously, a lot of people were heavily anticipating this game for their PlayStation 4. The game was announced as getting a release date, and then it was delayed, and then it was delayed again, and then Sony came along and delayed this project. So to me, that's really been the more interesting story when it comes to The Last of Us 2. Of course, there was that whole big spoiler leak that was talking about the story of The Last of Us 2, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and now there's people on both sides of the fence that sort of appreciate the story. It seems like a lot of people aren't appreciating this story. Pretty much everything The Last of Us 2 related on Sony's YouTube channel has been marked as turned comments off, so you cannot even comment on things anymore. Sony has been going out of their way to issue strikes against channels talking about the spoilers as well, and to me, it's just been a very crazy situation. As far as I stand with the story, I don't really care, because when I played the first Last of Us, I never really got super into the story. Now, I could see why some people are sort of upset when it comes to the story progression from what we've seen so far in these spoilers with some of the characters involved in the game, but for me, this game never really struck a chord with the story to me. I was more interested in the gameplay of the game when it came to The Last of Us, and that's what I enjoyed more so than the story. Now, of course, I have had instances where I've become very emotionally attached to the story, and I didn't like how the series started to play out. The best instance of that would be the Metal Gear Solid franchise. I was a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, and then I just started falling out of love with it because the story just kind of got all over the place, and by the time Metal Gear Solid 5 came out and Kiefer Sutherland replaced David Hayter, I was out. You know, that was it for me with the Metal Gear Solid franchise. I still love the classics, but the story just sort of dwindled out for me. But anyways, getting back to the main point, I'm still going to check out The Last of Us 2 from a gameplay perspective. Maybe the story will be just sort of wacky enough for me to enjoy it, but now The Last of Us 2 is getting a custom PS4 Pro system. We should have expected something like this. Of course, The Last of Us 2 is one of the big last games remaining for the PlayStation 4, and Sony announced today that The Last of Us 2 will be getting a PS4 Pro console. Now, this console is engraved with Ellie's tattoo design. You also get a limited DualShock 4 wireless controller, a physical copy of The Last of Us 2, the game, as well as a code to redeem some digital content such as a dynamic theme, avatars, and other stuff. Now, this is a limited edition console. It'll be retailing for $399.99 in the United States and $499.99 in Canada. Now, also, speaking of the controller that comes with this system, you can also buy the controller separately. That'll be available for $64.99. Sony did put up a trailer to showcase this system off, and I guess it looks okay-ish. Like, you know, Ellie's tattoo design that she has on her arm isn't really the most, like, you know, interesting thing to look at. So to kind of just engrave this sort of random design, like, I get it. You know, people are very attached to the Ellie character. Like I said, people are very passionate about the Last of Us story, but I don't know. It kind of just looks a bit cheesy to me, I guess. And the fact that it's a PS4 Pro system, really, you know what Sony is doing with this. They're not necessarily trying to get you to buy a PS4 Pro. They're trying to liquidate some of their PS4 Pro stock because, of course, the PlayStation 5 is coming, and we all know that PlayStation 4 games are going to work on the PlayStation 5, and no one's really going to be picking up a PS4 Pro instead of a PlayStation 5. So I feel like this is just sort of a way to liquidate their remaining stock of the PlayStation 4 Pro system, which I never got around to buying. I'm very happy with my standard PS4, even though the download speeds on it absolutely suck. But besides that, they're doing more The Last of Us 2 stuff. There's a cool little headset that also has Ellie's tattoo and the game logo on it. The headset will be available for $99.99, and even a 2 terabyte game drive from Seagate to download additional games on it and to use it as an external hard drive for the system. That is available for $89.99. That will also, once again, have Ellie's tattoo all over it. Like, I feel like there's other things you could have gone with besides Ellie's tattoo with this, but maybe that's, like I said, maybe that's a big deal to some people. But really, to me, this is just sort of a way for Sony to get rid of some of the PlayStation 4 systems that they have laying around when it comes to the PS4 Pro. Obviously, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X didn't really sell all that great comparative to the baseline systems of these systems. systems. People just seem to be somewhat happy with their systems. These were more premium systems for the diehard connoisseur of these platforms, which I totally understand, and I think we'll start to see more of that in the future. But interesting little stuff here. Me personally, I'm not going to buy any of this, but I did want to bring it to your guys' attention. So if you've been waiting for that PlayStation 4 Pro and you really like Ellie's tattoo, here is your opportunity to get one with it like engraved on it, and you can be cool. You can be cool. And finally, the second subject we're going to talk about today are Nintendo Directs, because everyone's saying that Nintendo Directs are gone. There's not going to be any Directs anymore, and all these people are going crazy on the internet. And I'm like, did you not watch my video on Sunday? Like, we sort of talked about this, and now we have some additional details when it comes to Nintendo Directs for the near future. Why these Nintendo Directs aren't going to happen in the near future, and when to sort of expect Nintendo Directs to return. So really, the basis of this is, if there's not a Nintendo Direct, this is not a problem in my opinion, because really Nintendo Directs are simply the vessel to get information out there about upcoming games for the Nintendo Switch. They're not necessarily a mandatory thing. It's just something that we've become accustomed to. Of course, Nintendo Directs have been around for quite a while now, so it's just always been sort of what Nintendo does to get information out about their games. But according to Jeff Grubb from VentureBeat, he basically updated his story very recently about the Nintendo Direct situation and said that yes, Nintendo is not planning a Nintendo Direct for the month of June. There was originally one on the table, but that now is off the table. And he also went on to say that Nintendo isn't planning a Nintendo Direct at all for now, and it's actually telling its partners not to wait for a Direct even if they have a big game announcement. So basically sort of what we have seen so far in the past month or two when it comes to Nintendo announcing stuff for the Nintendo Switch, like we talked about on Sunday. I feel like you should have watched that Sunday video and you would have been ahead of the curve on this, but that's okay. That's okay. Deadly Premonition 2. Deadly Premonition 2, of course, was announced as getting some new information for it, and it was actually given a release date of July 10th. And then we had Paper Mario, the Origami King, which came completely out of nowhere, and this just dropped onto the internet. Nintendo announced it via a social media tweet, and of course a YouTube trailer and a press release via email, and then everyone got excited about this new Paper Mario game coming to the Nintendo Switch on July 17th. So roughly 2 months after being announced, the game will be released. So now Nintendo is essentially telling third-party developers, hey, go ahead and announce your games for the Nintendo Switch, because there's not going to be a Nintendo Direct anytime soon. Of course, all of this is stemming from the fact that Japan has a weak work from home infrastructure, and because of real world situations, a lot of people are currently working from home. Japan is also allegedly going into a bit of a recession right now because of these real world situations, and although the health side of things has gotten better there, obviously a recession is going to impact these things as well. So it's pretty much just the writing on the wall with this situation, but I don't hate it. Like, I don't care about Nintendo Directs. Yes, I love covering Nintendo Directs. I love speculating about Nintendo Directs. It's something we do a lot on this channel, but like I've always said, I am not contingent on needing a Nintendo Direct in order to survive. I kind of like the random announcements that come completely out of nowhere. It creates sort of a buzz. It creates sort of a suspense and excitement. When's the next announcement going to come? Who knows? But all of a sudden, it's just out there on the internet. Now, one thing I have been seeing a lot of people say that are very pro Nintendo Direct is the fact that they feel like the impact of these games announcements won't be quite as big because the Nintendo Direct wasn't announced, and so a lot of people won't get eyes on this. But to that I say, pish posh, and you really just have to look at data in order to sort of differentiate that statement and realize that it's really not true. So of course we got the Paper Mario the Origami King trailer about 5 days ago for the Nintendo Switch on Nintendo's official YouTube channel. That video got 4.2 million views so far, and Nintendo's YouTube channel has 6.69 million YouTube subscribers. Now let's take a look at something that was announced and came out around the same time. It did come out a day later, but that is the Ghost of Tsushima State of Play event. Now the Ghost of Tsushima State of Play event was of course hyped up. You were going to get an in-depth look at the gameplay. Honestly, I think that game looks absolutely awesome. I am a little bit concerned about the open world aspect of it. I hope they sort of flesh it out a bit more, but I think from a gameplay standpoint, that game looks absolutely fantastic, and I cannot wait to check it out. And that also comes out on July 17th, so we'll be covering Paper Mario first, but I definitely will be picking up both of those games. But anyways, the State of Play for Ghost of Tsushima got 1.6 million views, and the Sony PlayStation YouTube account has nearly 10 million subscribers. So the Nintendo account has less subscribers than the Sony account. Everyone was anticipating and expecting the Ghost of Tsushima gameplay reveal and really got a great in-depth look at it. This of course is one of the last games for the PlayStation 4 coming from Sony, and Sucker Punch of course, but this does look like it will be the last sort of big game for the system, at least for 2020, and that video got a fraction of the views that the Paper Mario the Origami King trailer got. So I don't think ruining the surprise. So I don't think removing the surprise from these things is really that detrimental. Yes, of course, if you do a Nintendo Direct presentation, you have all these games within the presentation, but some of those games end up getting sort of overshadowed by other games. I feel like this strategy might actually work out better for even third-party companies who games probably get a bit overshadowed when it comes to these Nintendo Directs, because everyone, of course, is looking for the first-party Nintendo games. I know a lot of people are against this strategy, and I could definitely see why. Nintendo Directs are a very fun thing, and it's very fun to cover them, but at the end of the day, as long as we get information about the games, isn't that what matters at the end of the day? Isn't that the most important thing that you learn about these games? And if these games are coming out in a rapid fire succession, you know, they get announced and then 2 months later you get to play them, isn't that better than waiting years and years for the game to come out? I don't know, I feel like some people are definitely going to disagree with me on this situation, and that's completely fine, but in just my personal opinion, I don't really mind this whole no Nintendo Direct thing for a little bit. Once the world gets back to normal, I completely expect to see Nintendo Directs come back in 2020. You'll probably get at least one, maybe even two Nintendo Directs, and so it's not really the end of the world with this situation. No matter how you look at it, as long as you're getting information on the games, that should really be the only thing that matters. Alright, so we covered a new PlayStation 4 Pro, we covered the fact that there might not be a Nintendo Direct coming anytime soon, and why that's not a bad thing, at least in my opinion. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of everything. Are you excited for The Last of Us 2 PlayStation 4 Pro system? Are you going to pick this up on day one? I feel like a lot of people will that are really into The Last of Us series, but like I said, I don't really care about the story of the game, I just play it for the gameplay, so just a standard copy of the game will be fine. And no Nintendo Directs. Is this a problem, or are you sort of in my camp with no Nintendo Directs, no problem? Yes, that is the title of the video. That's how we do things on this channel. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. Yes, there are new eShop games coming out tomorrow via the Nintendo Switch Virtual Console service for Super Nintendo and NES. I've already got this stupid little face ready to go for that thumbnail. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.